Hi there to all, and welcome to St. Mark's Bible Study. We're all busy with the Bible study on the book of Revelation. Book of Revelation decoded. Today we're going to be looking at two of the most exciting chapters in the book of Revelation, and that is chapters 12 and 13. Probably one of the most misunderstood books and chapters in the book of Revelation. So without further ado, let us start on our notes right at the top. We are looking at the sun-clothed woman. Revelation chapter 12, this chapter presents a description of a woman clothed with the sun who gives birth to a male child. So what I want to do now before we continue with the notes is actually read that text in the Bible. So if you got your Bibles, you can please open into Revelation chapter 12. We'll be reading the first few verses. Revelation chapter 12 from verses 1. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain, and she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail stripped a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter, and her child will be snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. That's 3.5 years. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. So in chapter 12, it's a vision of a woman. She's pregnant, about to give birth to a male child, a male baby, and there's a dragon fighting her and wants to devour this child as soon as it's born. So obviously these are symbols, and we need to find out what these symbols mean and what they interpret. The easiest one is the dragon, because it says there in the last verse that we read, in verse 9, that great dragon was hurled down, the ancient serpent called the devil or Satan. So we know that the dragon is a representation of Satan. It's the woman and the man child that we have to decide what they are. So let's go back to our notes and we'll get more clarity on the woman and the man child. Some believe that this symbolizes Mary, who gave birth to Christ. There is a school of thought that believes that the woman is Mary. She's giving birth to the baby Jesus, and the devil wants to destroy Jesus, obviously to destroy the Messiah is coming to the earth. And they get this out of snippets from the chapter we just read. One is it's obviously a woman and a child. One is that the woman flees to the desert. Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus fled to Egypt. There's a talk of the snatching away of this child, and Jesus Christ was also snatched away in a sense, or ascended into heaven. The reason I don't believe that is because Mary giving birth to Jesus in the middle of the 7 years tribulation doesn't make sense. We must understand that the book of Revelation is a 7-year period, still in the future. And when you get to Revelation chapter 12 and 13, it is in the middle of that period. There is no sense of seeing Mary now giving birth to Jesus in that period. Prophecy is future looking, not past looking. And we have to understand that. So some believe that this symbolizes Mary who gave birth to Christ. However, the context of this passage rather seems to favor the view that it is the nation of Israel. The woman represents the nation of Israel. And we get that based on Genesis chapter 7, Genesis chapter 37, where Joseph is having a dream and he tells his parents and his brothers his dream. And that was that he sees the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowing down to him. It's the same symbolism found in the book of Revelation chapter 12. So many scholars believe that the woman represents the nation of Israel. given birth to a man child who will rule with a rod of iron. Jesus Christ will rule with an iron scepter and iron rod, but also the 144,000 witnesses will rule with him. This seems to speak of the 144,000 witnesses characterized by young, innocent, and pure servants of God who will be snatched away and saved from the terror of the false Messiah being the Antichrist. The time frame of 1,260 days is mentioned in the passage leaves one with no doubt that the snatching away of the 144,000 witnesses will take place in the middle of the 7 year period of tribulation. Furthermore, Revelation 12 speaks of a war between Michael the archangel and Satan, Lucifer, with Satan being cast out of the heavenlies. This needs to be understood in the context that although Satan is already fallen, he's been fallen since the Garden of Eden, he still is known as the God of this world and the prince and power of the air in Ephesians 2 and 6. In other words, he still controls the forces, dominions, and powers. But during the tribulation, he will lose his power of the air and be cast down to earth, thereby increasing the wickedness and evil beyond human imagination. He will be finally destroyed along with the fallen angels and the demon spirits. During this period, the woman will be the object of persecution. The woman now representing Israel. The woman is Israel who will be protected and escaped from the dragon or the devil's attack. The remnant who remain in Jerusalem will be persecuted by the beast. So Revelation chapter 12 is giving three important characters. It's a woman giving birth to a child, a male child, and there's also the dragon wanting to devour this child. The woman represents Israel, as from Genesis chapter 37. The dragon, as interpreted in the same chapter, is the devil. And the male child is the only point of contention, and I believe that it is the 144,000 witnesses that were sealed by God. And to find out the full story of the 144,000, we need to just look at three verses in the book of Revelation to see the chronological events. So let's turn to Revelation chapter 7, and this is what it says. Revelation chapter 7, just the first few verses. And I saw the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on land or on sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel coming from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice, and four angels had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land, the sea, or the trees until we have put the seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those that were sealed, 144,000 from the tribes of Israel. So in Revelation chapter 1, it talks about the sealing of 144,000 witnesses, Jewish witnesses. And then if we look at the chapter we just read in Revelation chapter 12, it continues that story, and it says there, she gave birth to a son, a male child. This male child is the 144,000 who will rule the nations with an iron scepter with Jesus, co-ruling with Jesus. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she may be taken care of for 1,260 years. The snatching away of that child is a rapture. This is no reference to Jesus Christ ascending. He wasn't snatched away to God. He ascended by his own power. So in that verse, in verse 5, it talks about the snatching away of the 144,000. Now, in the rest of the book of Revelation, we should see a picture of this 144,000 in heaven, and we do. In Revelation chapter 14, it says this, Then I looked, Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, we read from verse 1, Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, heavenly Mount Zion, that's where the Lamb is in heaven, and with him 144,000, who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like a roar of rushing waters and like a loud peal of thunder. Then I heard what was like that little harpers playing their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne, before the four living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 that had been redeemed. So yeah, we definitely see a picture in heaven, the throne, the Lamb, the elders, the living beast, and the 144,000. They were sealed in Revelation chapter 12. In Revelation chapter 7, in Revelation chapter 12, they were snatched up, and we see them in heaven in Revelation chapter 14. 14. So if you put those three verses together, it gives the full picture of this male child. So that is Revelation chapter 12, a very controversial chapter, and simply because some commentators have seen the woman as Mary and the child as Jesus. But chronologically, it doesn't make sense to place Mary and Jesus in the future 7 years of tribulation, in the middle of the tribulation. This is rather in reference to an event that takes place at that time. And the event is that the devil is attacking Israel. From Israel comes 144,000 witnesses, and they get snatched up or raptured up to God. Israel as a national entity then escapes and actually goes into the wilderness. Scholars believe this will maybe be Jordan, because Jordan is one of the only countries that is not allied with the rest of the countries that the Antichrist actually fights with. So many scholars believe that she'll escape, go over the Jordan River, and actually live in relative safety and peace in Jordan. And the rest of her remnant will be persecuted by the dragon, the devil. So with that being said, let's then look at Revelation chapter 13. So what I'd like to do now is keep your Bibles open and go to the next chapter, which is Revelation chapter 13. Again, a chapter full of symbolism, um, uh, and is difficult and confusing at times. But hopefully, by the end of this message, you'll have a little bit more clarity on this amazing chapter, Revelation chapter 13. So we can just read the first 7 verses. It says, "Just the dragon stood on the shore of the sea, the devil. And I saw a beast coming out of the sea, and it had 10 horns and 7 heads, and 10 crowns on its horns, and each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast its power and its throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshipped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. And they also worshipped the beast and asked, 'Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it?' The beast was given the mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, to exercise its authority for 42 months, 3.5 years. And it opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. It was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And it was given power over tribe and people and language and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world." So it speaks about this beast coming out of the sea. This beast has 7 horns. It has crowns. It has 10 horns. It says one of the heads were fatally wounded but was healed. It speaks blasphemies against God. And the world will wonder at this beast and say, who can make war against it? So let's turn to our lesson as we start to read a bit of it, and then I'll comment and clarify. Revelation chapter 13 speaks of a beast coming out of the sea. This is a revived Roman Empire, and it's also represented in the book of Daniel. It's 7 heads and 10 horns. The fact that the beast comes out of the sea indicates that it is Gentile in nature, coming out of the sea of humanity as its source in Revelation chapter 15. Revelation chapter 17, verse 15. The beast comes out with seven heads, and in Revelation chapter 17 it actually gets interpretation. It says that the 7 heads are 7 hills or 7 kingdoms. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and 1 is yet to come. And from the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 2 and chapter 7 gives indication that there are kingdoms to come, and one is in succession of the other. The 5 kingdoms that have fallen is Syria, Egypt, Babylon, Persia, and Greece. At the time when John was writing this revelation, Rome, the Roman Empire, was in existence, and he speaks about another one to come, another one we call the revived Roman Empire. In about 500 AD, the Roman Empire collapsed under the rule of the barbarians and the Vandals of North Europe. And when that happened, the Roman Empire was dismantled, and from that brought forth, the countries of Spain and Portugal and Italy and Greece and so forth and so forth. And from that time until now, there has never been another unified empire or kingdom within that area where countries are united under one banner. That being said, currently in Europe, there is what is known as the European Union. There's currently about 26 different countries under this banner of the European Union. And this, I believe, is probably going to be the platform or foundation of the revived Roman Empire. So it says in the paragraph 2, if you following the notes at the bottom, the seven heads of the seven empires that will rule over humanity. These seven rulers are also symbolized by the seven heads of the beast. One of these heads will be fatally wounded and will be healed. This may be referring to the revived Roman Empire itself, or else a world dictator will be assassinated but be miraculously resuscitated, causing the world to wonder. So it talks about the beast in Revelation 13, but we must understand that it is a little bit ambiguous to if it is referring to a kingdom or actually a person. We know that the seven heads refer to kingdoms, but it also talks about a person actually being wounded to death and actually comes alive. And that we believe is actually in reference to the Antichrist. The Antichrist will be the political military leader during the 7 year period. He'll start off by making peace with the Jews and with the Arabs for the first 3.5 years, and then he wages war against um, Israel during the last 3.5 years. And this is basically chapters 12 and 13 is at this time, at the 3.5 year period where this takes place. So it could be one of the kingdoms was fatally wounded and healed, or it could also be that the Antichrist himself will be assassinated or wounded, and he will be resuscitated or made to come alive, and the world will marvel at him and say, "Who is like the beast? Who can make war with him?" The important point is that this final world ruler comes into power through the support of supernatural and miraculous deliverance from Satan. Our last paragraph on the note says the people at this time will recognize the supernatural character of Satan and the world ruler and will be raised who is like the beast, who can conquer him. After this, the world ruler continues for 42 months, 3.5 years, during which time he blasphemes God. And not only is it a beast out of the sea, but there is also a beast out of the earth. So let's quickly continue with Revelation chapter 13 as we read about the second beast. This is Revelation 13, chapter 13, verses 11. It says, Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound it had been healed. And he performed great signs, causing fire to come down from the heaven to the earth in full view of the people. Because of its signs, it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. It deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. So we spoke about the beast being wounded. So this could be in reference to the kingdom, or at this point, more specifically regarding the person of the Antichrist. Verse 15, the second beast was given power to breathe into the image of the first beast, so the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced the people, great and small, rich or poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had that mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. The person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and its number is 666. So this is where the famous, infamous 666 comes out. The second beast is what we call the false prophet. He'll be more like the religious leader, and the two I see to the Antichrist. The Antichrist will be more politically and military motivated, while the false prophet will be more spiritual and religious. He causes great miracles to happen, fire to come down, and he causes an image to be made of the beast in Jerusalem in the temple, and he actually makes this image come to life. Now, whether this is artificial intelligence or whether this is just like a satanic supernatural event, we're not too sure. But the fact is that the image comes to life, and people marvel over this. And at this time, the false prophet also is given authority over the people on the earth. And what he does is he lets them have a mark on their right hand or their forehead, and this is what we call the mark of the beast. And without this mark on the right hand or forehead, you will not be able to buy or sell anything. And now, when it comes to the mark of the beast, some people have been questioning what it could be. So let me read you from what it says in the notes. It says, please note that Revelation 13:11 to 13 speaks of a second beast who will be the false prophet or leader of the one world religion. He'll be religious leader. Revelation 13 indicates that the second beast will give life to an image in the first beast by empowering it to speak artificial intelligence. Another mark of the beast, let's talk a bit more about that. Note that the mark of the beast is not on the arm, as some have speculated regarding the vaccination being the mark, but it will be definitely on the right hand or forehead during COVID-19 pandemic that took place. When people started giving them vaccines, people thought, wow, this is the mark of the beast. If they read Revelation chapter 13, they'll know that the mark is a specific mark that we place on the right hand or in the forehead. The prepositions are a little bit unclear whether it will be in the right hand or in the forehead or on the right hand or on the forehead. Recent developments in biomicrochips to monitor animals and prisoners will no doubt become the order of the day. There's already small rice-grained microchips that have been implanted into people allegedly around the world. And this is basically placed into your right hand, and without this, you cannot buy or sell, or some companies actually already have it. They have an implant into you so you can actually have access in and out the companies. So this is maybe the way that it's going to be going forward. Cryptocurrency, which is gaining popularity and interest, could be the precursor of the new global financial system. It talks about the false prophet running like the finances and the economics of the world by you having this beast you're allowed to buy or sell. And we're moving up towards a cashless society where there will be no more cash. A lot of the credit cards are obviously in place, and it's going to get just more and more where we don't need any cash no more. And the only way we'll do transactions is through this mark of the beast. There are three brands that will be used by the Antichrist. It will be a mark that will be used by the Antichrist. A mark is the emblem or the logo of the system. His name, the name probably of the Antichrist himself, and the number of his name, a numerical value of 666. So people have suggested that this could be barcodes. I don't believe it has anything to do with barcodes. What it probably will be is, as the word says, it will be an emblem on the right hand. It will be an emblem or logo, and on that emblem will be the name of the Antichrist and his number. And in Hebrew and Greek, in the Hebrew and Greek alphabet, each letter corresponds to a number through all the letters of the alphabet. So what will kind of take place is this will be a number, and once you scan that number, for example, the number will come up, and if you translate this into the Greek, it will come out to the name of the Antichrist. Any speculation nowadays to who the Antichrist is just that, pure speculation. There's a lot of criteria that has to happen for the Antichrist to actually fulfill his role. He has to be a political leader in a 7-year period. He has to be a world leader. He has to come out of the Middle East. He has to unite 10 kingdoms in Europe. He has to have a religious leader next to him who will set up a kingdom, set up an image in the temple. The temple of Jerusalem must be rebuilt. So there's really a lot of things that must take place before this Antichrist even gets on the scene. And once he's on the scene, at the middle of the 7-year period, this mark then becomes in place. Currently, there could be foundational work already done for this mark. As I said, maybe a barcode or maybe a chip. We don't really know. But definitely within this time, it will become in full force and actually be mandatory. So that's Revelation chapter 12 and 13. Two very exciting chapters. And now once we've done it, it's not too confusing or too scary. Revelation chapter 12 talks about the symbols of a woman giving birth to a male child, and the dragon wants to devour that child. The woman represents Israel. The man child represents 144,000 that will come out of Israel. And the dragon is the devil who wants to devour that 144,000. But God snatches him up and takes him up to heaven. And we see them in Revelation chapter 14 around the throne of God singing a new song that nobody else knows. And then Revelation 13 talks about two beasts, one coming out of the sea. And this beast represents the Antichrist and his kingdom. And the second beast that comes out of the earth is a false prophet, and this is his religious 2IC. And together they work in tandem to bring havoc and chaos on the earth. It's this false prophet then institutes the mark of the beast, and without this mark of the beast on the right hand or forehead, you'll not be able to buy or sell anything. So I'm glad you tuned in, and I hope that you were blessed and inspired and informed by this Revelation series, not only the series, but this lesson at hand, Revelation chapter 12 and 13. May you be richly blessed, stay safe, and stay in faith. Until next time, God bless you.